Y'all hear those horns? Y'all know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome everyone to episode 16 of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. This is your friendly neighborhood T-Square. Tristain Thomas here with you. Glad you can join us. So happy to be here with you. And let us get into state of the state. We're going to start off with the Green Bay Packers up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Technically, actually, they're over in Oakland with the Raiders because they beat the Raiders 30-20. 30-20, Green Bay Packer win. For some, it's a ho-hum performance, but for me, when you really look deeply at this game, it's almost a character win. And we'll get into that in a second here. I felt it was a little bit of a character win, but let's get into the offense first. Let's talk about how Aaron Rodgers went 22 of 39 for 204 yards, a touchdown, and probably his worst pick of the season. Just a ball that he just went and threw and should not have. You don't equate Aaron Rodgers and dumb in the same sentence very often, if ever. But that was a dumb throw by Rodgers. There was no reason to throw that football. He threw it, and he got picked. The numbers aren't spectacular. 22 or 39. You can't say he was erratic with his accuracy, but I mean, not as accurate as we've come to know him to be all these years. But that's just been the story this season. He's been off, but it's not been his fault. It's not so much his accuracy as it is guys dropping the football. So again, 22 of 39, 204 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Just a god-awful pick. I don't know why he threw that. It was just an awful pick. Just horrible. With the receivers, there really weren't many standouts as far as the receiving game goes. James Jones caught 6 balls, 82 yards, and a touchdown. He was really the only person making any type of real plays in that receiving game. I mean, honestly, you saw Devontae Adams caught a few footballs. Yay, about time you held on to the football, but I think he had something like 26 yards. Jared Abbrederis, he got some play. You see him starting to kind of understand it and get it week by week, but he isn't really the major factor that you're looking for at this point in time. You got a big blow by hearing that Ty Montgomery is going to be out for the rest of the season. So that's a huge blow there. So you're pretty much stuck with what you have there. Jeff Janis continues to make plays in the special teams area of the field, but not really in the receiving game. But even though he's getting some more snaps, Randall Cobb was Randall Cobb. He was okay. He had some running and some receiving yards. Not as explosive as he had, not explosive as he was last year. But again, that's just been the story with this offense. And it's just, for whatever reason, they just aren't that well-oiled machine that we've come to know them as. They just haven't been that. For whatever reason, they are not that. And I think we have to stop waiting for that. You're 14 games in. You've got 2 games remaining. You are what you are as a football team at this point in time. Can you get hot, play some good games? Absolutely. Look at Kansas City. They are absolutely hot right now. Look at Seattle. Hot right now. Carolina's undefeated. But I mean, we're talking about teams that really didn't get off to the best start this season. Seahawks being 2-4. Kansas City being 1-5. Getting hot and turning into completely different ball clubs from where they started. So it's possible that could happen. But for this offense, I don't think that well-oiled machine that we've come to know and love is coming anytime soon this season. I think we'll see flashes of it. But I don't think we're going to see that on a consistent basis. So I think we have to really change our expectations, temper our expectations. This is the kind of ball club that they are. They're not going to go out there and blow a bunch of people out. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be our defense keeping us in the game and the offense making just enough plays to pull that game out. Look at Detroit. Look at this past Sunday's game. I mean, that's just what we are. So people have to stop waiting for this offense to become that explosive machine that we've come to know and love, because that is not going to happen this year. You can kiss that goodbye. It's gone. It's not coming. It's not going to happen. This is the type of offense that they have. And last week we spoke on Toss about seeing what kind of offense that this team was going to be. Are these changes going to be permanent? Is Mike McCarthy going to make this a run-based offense? And you saw at the very at the very beginning of the game how he ran the ball multiple times to start that game off with Eddie Lacy. There was really no run game to speak of outside of James Starks, who had 9 carries for 51 yards. And most of those yards were on one big run play. So he was the most consistent runner out of everyone, but you really didn't have much of a run game to speak of. 28 carries, 103 yards, I believe, is what you mustered up on the ground. Had a 100-yard day, but you're coming off of a 230-plus yard rushing game the week prior against a very good defense in Dallas. You know, the Raiders defense is no slouch, but at the same time, they're not on the same level as a Dallas. So you would think you'd be able to run the football a little bit better, more efficiently, but they weren't able to do that. But you saw that commitment to the run that Mike McCarthy has. So I still feel that these changes are really permanent as far as with Mike McCarthy taking over play calling. He needs to run that football because the bottom line is this team cannot afford to get into a shootout with the passing game. You cannot afford to do that. This is a team where you need to be able to run the football to be able to pass. Now, I know there's probably people out there scratching their heads saying, well, isn't that the way it always is, Tristain? Doesn't the run set up the pass, play action? I mean, what are you talking about here? I get that. Yes, you have to run to set up the pass. It loosens everything up. What I'm saying is that without a run game, as opposed to years past, you cannot survive. You cannot thrive. I mean, you could survive. Don't get me wrong. We've seen them survive. As Detroit, we've seen this team survive without a running game. But can you thrive that way? Hey, we're in playoff mode. Okay, you're in playoff mode right now. You have to be able to run the football effectively, efficiently, for big plays to set your offense up. Loosen guys up. Make some more defenders come down the box so Aaron Rodgers can take advantage of those matchups with those receivers being one-on-one and hope to God that one of them holds on to the football. That's why I'm saying that this team is not one that could go and win anything if they cannot run the football effectively. It's just going to be a mighty struggle. Look, once you get into the tournament, if you survive, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. But as it stands right now, this is not a team that can get into a shootout with the passing game. As weird and as crazy as that is to say, with a 2-time MVP and former Super Bowl champion in Aaron Rodgers, at the helm for you, this is just not that kind of a team that can do it for you with the passing. Look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Same as the tape. Tape never lies. So no run game to speak of, but yet they scratch, they claw, they find a way to survive. And I call this a character win because of this. It was around the third quarter. The Raiders just went on to score a touchdown. Amari Cooper, who had a fantastic game, 6 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, really took advantage of his matchups against that backfield for the Green Bay Packers. And give credit to the Raiders. I mean, they're building something there. They've got some pieces. And I said this last week on Toss. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Latavius Murray. I mean, they've got some weapons. Crabtree made a few plays. They have some weapons on offense and on defense. Khalil Mack, who Brian Bulaga did a hell of a job on him. 1 sack for Khalil Mack, and that's coming off of a 5-sack game for him. For him to hold him to 1 sack, amazing job by him. I think that went under the radar, that got slept on, and I just want to give Bulaga props for that. And not Beluga, like the announcers were saying. I don't know. Side note, how awful were the announcers in this game? See, people like to complain about Buck and Aikman announcing the Packers games. Okay, well, you just spent the weekend with Myers and Barber, and they were both god awful. Neither one of them could say anybody's name right. Beluga is what Rondé Barber called Brian Bulaga. Abradis is what Chris Myers called Jared Abbrederis. It was just awful. Just awful. So stop complaining about Buck and Aikman. I can deal with Joe Buck. I like Joe Buck. It's Aikman that says some dumb stuff. But just a sidebar. But they have some pieces. They have some pieces. Brian Bulaga did a hell of a job on Khalil Mack that got slept on. But back to that third quarter, it was a play where they just went up in the score for a touchdown. Ended up being 20-17 in the third quarter. The very next drive, Green Bay Packers have the football. This is where the flash comes in. 3 plays, 53 yards. That was the drive. It took 1 minute and 2 seconds. This is after a long kickoff return by Jeff Janis, I think of 47 yards. 3 plays, 53 yards, 1 minute and 2 seconds. Rodgers to Jones for the touchdown. That is the flash that I'm talking about. Those are the flashes that I'm talking about with us seeing that well-oiled machine offensively from the Green Bay Packers. I think those are the types of drives that you're going to get here and there as opposed to on a consistent basis. They aren't that explosive passing team this year. I'm not saying they won't ever will be again, because they will be. Trust me, with that mind of Mike McCarthy, with Aaron Rodgers being right there at the helm for you, with that receiving core, once Jordy gets back, he loosens things up for everyone else. That's if they could hold on to a damn football. You're going to see that well-oiled machine again. I think we can get back to that level. But this year, it's not going to happen unless they get incredibly hot. Incredibly hot. So we just have to temper our expectations, but those are the flashes that you're going to get with this offense. Those kind of drives, 1 minute and 2 seconds, 3 plays and 53 yards. That's explosive. That's explosive. That's the tempo that they want to play at. That's a guy going out, and he made some tough catches on it. He made a tough catch on that drive. That diving catch for that first down before the next play, he went for 30 yards on that touchdown. James Jones, I'm talking, was a phenomenal catch. But that is the type of drive that I'm talking about. Those are the flashes that I'm talking about. You're not going to get this on a consistent basis this year. You can forget about it. If you do, all the better. That makes them the most dangerous team in the field, I think, because they can do it on the defensive end as well. Which, segue, is what we're getting into. Let's talk about this defense. Let's talk about how well they played. Yes, they gave up 20 points. Again, I told you, this team can put up points in the Raiders. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Amari Cooper is a good receiver, and he's just getting started. Latavius Murray is a good big back. They have some weapons out there. Crabtree plays his role. He's pretty decent. I wouldn't put him in a great category, but he's all right. He can make a few plays. They have weapons here, and they showed you that. They had a lead in that game, so they have some weapons. So give those guys some credit, but this defense gave up 20 points. It started off very quickly for them. Extremely quickly. They're talking Micah Hyde with a pick on the first drive for those guys. Set you up for your first touchdown when John Kuhn decides to hit the truck stick and run a fool over. That's what I call a popcorn spiller. Because when you see it, you just jump up and your popcorn just spills all over the place. He ran that boy over. Just get out of my way. I got reservations for 6, and there's not a damn thing you could do about it. Lay down. That's what I'm talking about right there. That is football. Love seeing that. Love me some John Kuhn. Love that guy. But that gets set up by your defense. Micah Hyde with the pick. Opportunistic. Set you up for short yardage and you cash in. That's what you need to do. Next drive. You got Demarius Randall with the pick 6. Pick 6. Demarius Randall, the rookie. The guy that Chris Myers and Rondé Barber just kept going on and on about, he's over there. He's a rookie. He's in for Sam Shields. And you got to know that Derek Carr is going to go. Okay, go after him then. This is how you could tell those guys don't get a lot of Packer football because they didn't know a damn thing they were talking about. Oh, man, we'll have to see how they do. I mean, it's a rookie in that spot. Demarius Randall has been doing it all year long. And if this guy is not the leading vote getter, if he's not the leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Rookie of the Year, they're doing it wrong. He's made an immediate impact. Like I said last week, it's a plug and play situation. He continues to go out there and make plays. Yes, he makes a mistake here and there. He's a rookie. He's still learning, but there is no doubt that he has made an impact on this defense. There is no doubt he's made an impact in this league. The guy can play. He can really play. Then you're talking Quentin Rollins, the other rook. He's out there making plays. He could have had a pick himself. The rooks continue to produce, and that is what you need. That is what you need. Plug and play. Hey, this guy's down. We need you to step up, get in there, play hard, do you. And that's exactly what they do. So if Demarius Randall is not the leader in the clubhouse for that award, what's the point of even voting? What's the point? Y'all doing it wrong. So pick 6 for him. Now you're up 14-0. I mean, that is what you want. That is exactly what you want. You're on the road. You want to start fast. And your defense got you into it very, very quickly. Very quickly. So what more can you say? And when they did get the lead, and I'm talking the Raiders, and the Packers went back and took that lead, that's when the pressure got turned up. That's when you saw Dom Capers really go to work. Not that he wasn't before, but when a close lead on the line, that's where you really saw him get to work. Like, okay, we got a little lead. These guys aren't going away. They're still hanging around. We got to go and close this out. They were able to drop Derek Carr for 3 sacks, 2.5 of them by Julius Peppers. I believe that gives him 9.5 or 10 this season. He continues to be an impact on that defense. What a great pickup he was. At this point, you're hoping that that third year of that contract comes into play and he comes back next season. We'll see, but he continues to produce at an extremely high level. Extremely high level. This defense is really good, y'all. They may not have the gaudy numbers. They may not be top 10. I believe they're like 17, 18th overall defensively. But they get the job done each and every single week. They don't do it in spectacular fashion. They do it in a grind out fashion. But they are the sole reason that this team has been in it with a chance to win more times than not this season. You have to be proud of how this defense has played. Have to be extremely proud of how they played. Because they're not giving up a ton of points. It's not like they're out there giving up 20 plus. They're in the teens. I think it's about 16, 17 points a game, maybe 18 points a game. You can get 23 or 24, which is, I think, about where Green Bay is. You are going to win more games than not. And that's why they won their 10th game on Sunday against the Raiders. That's why they are in the playoffs, because they clinched a playoff berth. Not as a result of the win. It was as a result of the New York Giants losing. Oh, and we got some things to talk about in that game a little bit later in the show. You have a huge game coming up this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals, who have had a devastating injury of their own, losing Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. That is a huge loss for those guys. Having a fantastic season. And you know what? Whether we go up against him or we don't, he is a great player in this league. It is a pleasure watching him play defense. And you hate to see this. Just add another big name to a list of guys who have gone down to injury this season. And I saw that live. As soon as he went down, you saw the knee buckle, then he went down. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this is bad. This is really bad. This is not tripping over your own feet, catching a cleat on the turf, or the turf monster coming up and grabbing you. This is bad because it was a non-contact injury. And usually if it's non-contact, those are the worst. So he ends up tearing his ACL. But regardless of that, they still have a great defense. They bring it defensively. You know their offense. You saw what they can do multiple times. You saw how they went in there and ran those boys over in Philadelphia. That was a no contest. That was an absolute no contest. Carson Palmer, he's got a dinged up index finger, but he's still going to be there pulling that trigger. Larry Fitzgerald, one of the all-time greats, still there, still producing. John Brown there, he's producing. You got a lot of Floyd, he's producing. The rookie, David Johnson, who, side note, pretty much ran my fantasy team straight into the finals. I was down about 30 points. He ends up going to get me 40. I thought I was dead to rights. So I got a championship game on Sunday as well. And you best believe I'm starting him, regardless of him playing against the Packers. I hope he does well, but I hope they lose. Not the Packers. I hope the Cardinals lose, but I hope David Johnson does well. But my point is, they have an explosive offense, a tough defense. They are very much so legit, and I don't know why so many people are sleeping on them. We know where Carolina is. They're 14-0. They're undefeated. If you ask me, they're probably going to go 16-0 this season. Yeah, I think they're going to go 16-0 this season. I think they're going to do it. Their schedule is favorable. If they continue to play like they did in the first half of that Giants game, as opposed to that second half, then you're going to see them run the table in the regular season. I think they can do it. Their defense is tough. Cam Newton locked up that MVP. They're tough. So we know what Carolina is. But right behind them is Arizona, 12-2. They've won 8 straight. NFC West Division champions. You have to give these guys some credit because they do it in every phase of the game. Special teams, defense, offense. They can do it at every single level. They are as dangerous. And look, if you're looking for a fight, I think they could probably beat Carolina. But who knows? We may not ever get a chance to see that matchup. We don't know. My thing is that this is a very dangerous team. This is a very good team. And you haven't really shown up very well against the very good teams this season. You got beat by Carolina. You got beat by Denver. This is another opportunity for you to go out there, grab another win, and quite possibly get yourself a number 2 seed if you win this game. Because if the Cardinals lose two more games, and you win your next 2, including against the Cardinals and next week against the Vikings, you've earned yourself a number 2 seed and a first-round bye, which is something this team needs desperately. They're beat up. They're injured. That bye week would be nice, real nice. But that might be a lot to ask for. You got a tough game against the Cardinals. If you can beat them, you got another tough game next week, which could quite possibly be for the North Division Championship if the Vikings continue to handle business on their own. The Cardinals, they've got you, and they've got a tough one against Seattle. There is a lot to play for still. There's a lot to be figured out still. If you can get a number 2 seed, all the better. But the thing is, you just have to take it one thing at a time and control what you can. You have a very tough game against those guys this Sunday. It's the later game, I believe, 3:25. It's a huge, huge game. Number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs on the line. You're already in it, so you can talk about things like that. You got to go and get this one. You have to go and get this one. This is a huge game. You got to have it. But again, 30-20 win against the Raiders. Great job in every phase of the game. And we hope that you guys just keep it going and build something extremely consistent and hopefully get hot going into these playoffs. We continue with the state of the state as we travel down to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we're meeting these guys up at the airport because they just came back from a road trip, the Milwaukee Bucks. Unfortunately, this road trip was a 1-3 road trip. Very, very disappointing. I want to talk about that Phoenix Suns game because that's a building that they really have. It's really been a house of horrors over the past, I don't know how long, seems forever. They had not won in that building at one point in time for multiple years, well over a decade. And I think last season was the first time that they actually won a game in Phoenix. I might have to check that. But you lost Jabari Parker in that building in this month, last season. So there's a lot that you think about. And not only that, but in that building, you lose your coach. Jason Kidd has a hip condition, which he needed surgery for, and he announced that after that game on Sunday. He's out indefinitely. Joe Prunty is the assistant coach, is going to be taking over as interim head coach until Jason Kidd is able to come back to fulfill his duties. Some people are saying 4 to 6 weeks, but the Bucks haven't put a timetable on it. They're saying indefinitely. They're saying maybe he could be back in February. We'll see, but we heard that the surgery went well, so that's a plus. We just hope that he recuperates. But you're going to learn a lot about this team in these next few weeks. Let's talk about what we learned in that game against the Phoenix Suns. We learned that these guys have a little bit of fight left on them. Despite how bad the season has gone so far, because let's be clear, they're 11-18. This isn't exactly where everybody thought they would be. And I'm pretty sure I could speak for those guys when they said this is not where they thought they'd be at this point in the season. Everyone in your division is over 500. I think at least 4 games above 500. At least. You're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference. Nobody thought that you guys would be there. So let's be clear and let's be honest. It's been a bad season to this point. It's been bad. The expectations that have been put upon you, the type of play that you showed last season has not translated over to this season. It's not transferred at all. But they fought. They fought in Phoenix. They were down by as many as 15 in the third quarter, and they clawed their way back to a 101-95 win on Sunday. Michael Carter-Williams continues to play well. After he got taken out of that starting lineup, started coming off the bench, and then Jason Kidd decided to insert him back into that starting lineup, he's been fantastic. And I know he's a lightning rod for criticism. Hey, I talked about him. He needs to learn how to play a different style of game. He's not a guy who can hit an open jumper right now. He needs to stop taking them and learn how to shoot. And I think if you really sit down and watch, he isn't hitting a consistent jumper, but he is taking it inside and learning how to finish just a little bit better. I don't know if anybody's really noticed that, but when I sit down and I look at games and I break them down and I watch them back, and you just notice a different, I think it's a little bit more confidence in his game that he has in himself. He's not taking as many jumpers. When he does, it's usually not a good thing. He's really taking it inside. He's finishing a lot better. He's making a lot better decisions with the basketball. 6 assists in that game to go along with 9 rebounds. We know this guy could go and get triple doubles. We know this guy is a very good all-around player. He could do it for you on the offensive end. He can do it for you rebounding, passing the basketball, as well as defensively. Really had one of his better all-around games on Sunday. Part of that big comeback. Chris Middleton is a guy who has been MIA all season. Because somebody put an APB out on this man's jumper because it's been missing. It has been missing all season. Just broke. Yeah, he's had a couple of 21-point games. His jumper's been broke, period. You talk about a disappointment on this team, that guy's been a disappointment because his jumper has just been missing. But he had a good game. 26 points, 10 to 17 shooting, go along with 7 assists. Did not have any turnovers in the second half. Really took care of the basketball, which enabled those guys to come back in that game. The 10 to 17 from the field, season high. The 26 points, season high. So you had a couple of guys that had really, really great games. And they pulled that victory out in a building that they really haven't gotten a lot of W's out of, in a building that's really been a house of horrors for you with injury to players and coaches. So kudos to those guys for just sticking with it, knowing that the game's not over. Yeah, it's the third quarter. We're down 15, but this game is not over. We got a shot to win it. They went out there and they took it, 101-95. But as I mentioned before, this really was a disappointing road trip. You start things off by going to a strip club, which, side note, we had a lively discussion about that on the Home Court Sports radio show. You can listen to those guys every single Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time, Blog Talk Radio, Home Court Sports. What's up to the fellas over there for letting me on and keeping me on for pretty much the entire show. So I definitely appreciate that. We had a very lively discussion about that. And, you had a young man on there or an older gentleman, whichever the two. You hear voices, you don't really know. We had a gentleman on there by the nickname of Notepad, and big ups to him because he's very passionate about his opinion and his take on things, as were we, and it provided a very lively discussion. And it's all love, man. It's all love. So if you're out there, you listen, it's all love, man. I respect your opinion. But I think most of us felt that you were wrong about it. But we still love it, though. We still love it. He was very passionate about his opinion. The thing that he was saying was the fact that he didn't think the strip club had anything to do with the play on the court for Milwaukee Bucks. And, partially, maybe he's right. But the thing is, as an athlete, you have a professional responsibility to do things that are going to help you excel on the floor. And being out until 2 a.m. on game day morning, after you had traveled to the West Coast that same day, out there drinking, dehydrating yourself, how is that helping the performance that you're able to have on the court? That's not helping your body any. You're an athlete. You make your living with your body. You have to have your body at tip-top shape, and that's not going to do it. Sleep deprivation, dehydration from drinking, you really think that's going to help you go out there and be the best you can possibly be on the court? My thing is, I don't have a problem with grown-ass men going out, whether it be to a strip club, whatever. Don't have a problem with it. Just do it on a day in between games. What, y'all couldn't have gone out and done that the night you guys faced the Lakers? You didn't have a game the next day. That would have been the perfect time to do that. Because then you won't have to worry about game day and being tip-top. Obviously you think about it, you're an athlete. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be responsible. But you have a lot more time. You don't have to, that was my problem, was the fact they did that on game day morning. It's not the fact that those guys went out. I expect them to go out. But that did not help the play on the floor. Those guys were nowhere near ready to play that game against the Los Angeles Lakers weekend dental school for dental assisting. Because that's the way they're playing. They're playing worse than a JV team. And you got beat by them. You got beat by a 3-win team and helped them become a 4-win team because you guys decided to go out the night before. And not even the night before. That was the morning of. So you guys go out the morning of, out at the strip club, partying it up for what? At that point, you guys had 10 wins. You need to be doing what you need to be doing to get better. Then out there partying up, making it rain, all this and that. That's nonsense. So I had a problem with that because the way that they played out on the floor clearly showed that maybe y'all asses shouldn't have been out there at the strip club. You should have been watching game tape. And ironically, that same night that they were out living it up, Dwayne Wade on his Snapchat is showing himself in his hotel room on the road. Guess what? Watching game tape on his laptop. That's a man who's won 3 world championships. That's a man who has his team after a terrible season last season in a very good position this season. Who continues to go out there and make plays. Who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. That's what the Bucks need to be doing. They need to be doing everything they possibly can to be going out there and getting better. I understand you're grown men. You're millionaires. You're going to go out. You're going to have your fun. That's all fine. But there's a time and a place for that. And the time and place wasn't on game day morning. And that showed out there on the court. Because you got your asses beat by a 3-win team. You travel on to face the Clippers a couple nights later. You lose that one. Should have beat the Golden State Warriors a second time this season. Pushed them to the absolute limit. I was actually pretty proud of the play in that game. It was just mental mistakes and youth and championship experience coming back to bite you. They had that game won, but in the end, the champs came back, and it's a bit of a rivalry now. It's a bit of a rivalry, and make no mistake about it. Golden State is happy that the Milwaukee Bucks are off their schedule because those are the only guys that have played them absolutely tough both times that they've met. That was no accident. That was no fluke. You guys saw the way they played this past Friday. They pushed those boys to the limit. Should have won that game. Should have won that game. I think I was more proud of the play in that game than I was in the Suns game. Because the Suns shouldn't have even required a comeback. That's a team y'all need to go and take care of business against. Yes, you did get the W, but it came in comeback fashion when it shouldn't have. You should have had a lead and crushed those fools. Granted, Giannis didn't play. He had a knee injury. But you need to learn how to take care of business against teams you need to take care of business for or against. Because that's the only way you're going to become a good team. And playing teams tough like the world champions like that, that's the team I want to see consistently. I don't understand why you play to the level of your competition. If they're a really good team, you guys step up. If they're a bad team, you play to their level. I don't understand it. You guys need to play like you're playing against the world champs each and every single night and see how those results are. And that's where we're going to see what Jason Kidd being on the sidelines is. How much heart and determination are these guys going to play for? What are these guys really made up of? What's really going on with this squad? Let's see. Let's see. You still have time to kind of salvage this season. Again, it's going to take a lot because everybody in your division is at least 4 games above 500, and you're sitting 7 games below. Do you want to make the playoffs? You're going to have to be over 500 this season in Eastern Conference. Under 500 ain't doing it for you. So it's go time. You either do it now or it's not happening this year. And you can expect plenty of changes coming. That's what I think. So that's the state of the state. The Packers go and take care of business against Oakland. 30-20. It was a little bit of a character win. Those guys got knocked down on the mat, but then they came back. Not only took the lead, but grew it. That defense continues to play well, but you got a big one with number 2 seed implications on the line against the Arizona Cardinals. Cannot wait for that game. Should be a good one. The Milwaukee Bucks, they come back and beat the Suns 101-95 this past Sunday. 1-3 road trip when it should have at least been 2-2. Maybe even 3-2. If you beat the Lakers, which you should have, but it's 1-3. Jason Kidd is out indefinitely after hip surgery. We're going to learn a lot about this team, who they are, what they are made of, and where this season is going over these next couple of months if he doesn't come back till February like they're thinking he is. It's go time, Bucks. You either do it now or you can scrap the season. Coming up on Toss, we're going to run the Toss sweep, and we got to talk about that throwdown in New York. Norman versus Beckham Jr. And we also got to talk about an unmitigated disaster on live television. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow is your place for everything we don't touch on during the show. You can find bits, bites, and anecdotes on there. So if you want to get a little bit more out of T Squared and get a little bit deeper in his mind, go to Facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. That's TON Sports Show. Welcome back to Toss, everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood T Squared here with you. Thank you for joining us. First off, I can't even speak anymore. But it's time for us to run the Toss sweep. I want to make a quick note before we do that, though. Pro Bowl players were announced earlier tonight, and it looks like 3 Packers have made the Pro Bowl. Usual suspects: Aaron Rodgers, I believe it's his 5th. Clay Matthews, it's his 6th, and Josh Sitton, his 3rd. He's well deserving of that, as are all these guys. I was hoping to see Julius Peppers, the impact he made. I was hoping he was in there, but he wasn't. But maybe there's still time for him to go in there. So congratulations to those 3 guys: Aaron Rodgers, Clay Matthews, and Josh Sitton for your Pro Bowl announcements there. Now on to the Toss sweep. Before the break, I said that we were going to talk about that throwdown in New York. And it was indeed a throwdown. Now, the Carolina Panthers came back to beat the New York Giants on a last-second field goal, 38-35. It was a tough, hard-fought game. Carolina was blowing those dudes out. It was 28-7 at one point in that game, and then they came back, and talking the Giants here, to pretty much tie that up at 35 apiece before they went down the field and kicked the field goal. The Carolina Panthers I'm talking about, to win that game and escape New York, and they did escape 14-0. All throughout that game, though, there seemed to be a hell of a lot of drama between Josh Norman, who has quickly become a shutdown corner in his 4th season in the league, and Odell Beckham Jr., who's quickly become one of the great wide receivers in this league in just his 2nd year. You knew it was going to be a hell of a matchup. Everybody talked about it when they were talking to Odell Beckham Jr. after Monday Night Football earlier that week. He said he was looking forward to the opportunity. We know what Josh Norman brings to the table, just absolute physicality. He's a tough guy. That's why he holds the best to some of the worst stat lines of their season. Well, it was a back and forth battle between these two. I mean, Josh Norman slams Odell Beckham Jr. to the ground. I mean, you don't want that. That was out of order on him. But then Odell Beckham Jr. comes back and he's punching Josh Norman in the face. And then when Odell Beckham Jr. decides to go and hit Josh Norman helmet to helmet, that's crossing the line. That's crossing the line. Both those guys were flagged for personal fouls. Odell Beckham Jr. got 3 of them. I mean, as a receiver, you get 3 personal fouls. Are you kidding me? That hit to the head was dangerous. It was stupid. And quite frankly, he deserved to be suspended from that game. And he's lucky he got 1 game. Now, apparently he's appealing that suspension. I don't know why. Tape don't lie. You cracked the dude in his head. Something that the NFL is trying to guard against. You got this whole movie Concussion coming out with Will Smith. I mean, you got this big influence and this big emphasis on making sure that guys do not play with concussions. They take care of guys with concussions, CTE, all that. And you decide to go and knock a guy in his noggin like that? How dumb are you? I can understand you're agitated. He's getting in your head. He's under your skin, whatever else. But you don't do that. There's a line you don't cross, and that's one of them. You don't go and put a guy's, not only his career in danger, but his life in danger by cracking him in the head like that. It was stupid. It was reckless. Norman was stupid and reckless by slamming that dude on the ground when he did not need to. And then the whole drama after all of that, and Adam Schefter was talking about it, about how Odell Beckham was talking, he was not in the right mindset. He was in the defensive mindset because some of the Carolina Panther training staff or whoever the hell they were came out with black bats during warm-ups. Like they're really going to come over and whoop your ass with a black bat on a football field. Can we just play some damn football, please? Look, I don't want a soap opera on my football field. That's not what I want. I came to watch good, hard-fought football, good competition, the best versus the best. I'm not coming here for this empire mess. I'm not coming here for this Days of Our Lives, Santa Barbara, Another World, Guiding Light garbage. Give me football. Give me good football. Good, hard-hitting, legal hard-hitting football. Not this garbage right here. This is it just boggles my mind, and it just makes me incredibly mad that all the soap opera around this situation is coming into it. And he lost his head like that. And look, don't demonize the guy. Odell Beckham Jr. is not a bad guy. He just acted extremely poorly on that football field this past Sunday. I think he knows it. He'll tell you that. He's apologized for it. People need to let that one go. He's got to pay the price for it. Why he's even appealing the suspension. Look, I guess he knows that his team needs him. They're in a big spot. They have a chance to still win their division, the NFC least god-awful division. But you acted in a childish manner. So you need to be handled in a childish manner, which means you need to be punished, which means that 1-game suspension and that check that comes along with it is your suspension for acting like a child on that field. You need to accept it like a man. Go sit your ass down. You did wrong. Tape don't lie. Everybody saw it. Deal with it. You pay the price for your actions. And all of this extra stuff that comes along with it, all of this drama black bats and they're going to come and they're going to beat you with a... Stop it. Stop it. Nobody's here for this garbage. It gives me a migraine even thinking about it, and it makes me sick to my stomach even much more talking about it. It's so stupid how you acted on the field, and then all this chitter chatter about guys coming. Oh, you felt threatened because guys came over with black. What are they going to do to you? NFL Films are the one that caught the guys with the black bats, and then Carolina's apparently talking, oh, well, we always come out with a bat during warm-ups, which maybe they do, maybe they don't. I haven't seen all the NFL Films footage of every single one of the Carolina Panthers warm-ups, so I don't know. All I know is what I saw from what they did in New York. If that's a way that the Carolina Panthers get motivated by coming out and they bring out the black bat and it's symbolizing of something or whatever, that's what it is. Why are you feeling threatened by that? They're not going to do anything to you. They're going to come over and Nancy Kerrigan you on the football field with thousands of eyes watching? I don't think so. You acting like a child. You need to go and pay that price. Take your 1-game suspension. Cheer your boys on. Hopefully they can get you guys a win to keep you guys in the division race. Come back the next week hungry and ready to pull your guys into the playoffs. That's what needs to happen here. He's not a bad dude. He just had a bad day and made some bad decisions. So everybody that's harping on him, everybody's just getting on him, just demonizing him, he's not that way. Just a bad day at the office. Both those guys played awful. I'm not talking about awful in their stats, but they played awful as far as being ambassadors to this game and to this league. I think they both should have been punished, but Odell Beckham had the most glaring offense. Rightfully so. He got suspended. He needs to take it like a man, sit this game out, come back next week, ready to pull your dudes into the playoffs. That's all you can do. But there is no place for that in this game. None. Make no mistake about that. Continuing on the toss sweep. Ooh, Sunday night. Now, I saw this happen live. Now, this is the Tristain on Sports show, but this is also the toss sweep. This is our forum where we could talk about any and everything. And plus, my name is on the show. I could do whatever I want, and that's what I'm going to do. I know y'all sitting here thinking, Tristain, what in the hell were you doing watching the Miss Universe Pageant? Quick story behind that. These pageants used to be a big deal. 3 hours long, usually Saturday nights. Me, my family, my mom, my dad, we all used to watch this together. And my pop would sit there right next to me. And he always tell me, like, son, you see these women? They're getting judged by their beauty. But they're also working towards bigger goals. Some of these girls are in college, want to be lawyers and doctors, scientists. Son, never, ever judge a book by its cover. These women are pretty, but more than not, most of them are deep. Remember that. Get you a pretty, deep woman. And that stuck with me. So it's not like I watch every single pageant. It just happened to be on. And make no mistake about it, I'll switch between that and football. Make no mistake about that. I was switching between that and football. I'm still a jock. I'm still a stat geek. I love the game. I love sports in general. I'm a junkie for it. So make no mistake, I'll switch in between that. But sitting there watching it, and as I saw this, and I saw it go down, and I was like, okay, I already know who gonna win. I got family around. We talking about it. I already know who gonna win. I already know who gonna win this one. It's going to be Miss Columbia. I know she's going to win this. Sia wouldn't let go of her hand when he was singing Rose on the Grave. So it comes up, and Steve Harvey's like, okay, second runner-up, Miss USA. And that kind of hurts your pride. You want your country to win. It's like, damn, she didn't win. Damn. Well, I kind of knew she was going to win, but you just, that little glimmer of hope. She didn't win. So then, okay, so she gets her bouquet, and she goes, and she walks to her spot. Then you get Miss Columbia and Miss Philippines And they walk to the center of the stage, and he's like, okay, he's explaining how the first runner-up will fulfill the duties of the crown if the winner isn't able to fulfill the duties of the crown. Okay, so they're standing there, they're nervous, they're hugging, they're crying. It's the moment, it's finally here, all your hard work, who's gonna win it, whose life is gonna change. And then he busts out and says, the winner of Miss Universe is Colombia. And everybody's just cheering and all this and that. Colombia won. They won it for 2 years straight, that they're saying, and all this and that. And, she gets her sash, she gets her bouquet, and then they crown her. And Miss Philippines is standing next to Miss USA with her bouquet, and they're both happy for her and everything else like that. And, she's picking up her flag, she's waving her flag, and she's waving, and she's crying. It's just a great moment for her, just a culmination of all of her hard work and everything else. And they have this awkward kind of shot on her where they're just lingering on her. Now, all of us have seen a pageant at one point in time in our lives, or at least heard about it. Usually the host comes up and asks questions. How are you feeling? It's almost like a post-game interview. How do you feel? What's going through your mind right now? What emotions are you having? They weren't doing that. It was just an awkward shot on Miss Columbia. And we're sitting there like, okay, this is awkward. Like, why is he not asking any questions, to her? Why is he not saying anything to her as far as like, how do you feel or anything else? Then you see Steve Harvey sulking. And he's slowly walking, his head's kind of down, and he's looking over to the side at producers backstage and everything else. And he comes over, I have to apologize. And I'm sitting there like, what? I'm like, what you mean? Like, I'm thinking he's about to crack a joke. Like, I gotta apologize. I was thinking like maybe he's gonna say I was looking a little bit too hard. I gotta apologize to my wife on national television. No, I gotta make an apology. We made a mistake. The winner of Miss Universe, he said, I guess he said the first runner-up is Miss Colombia. Miss Universe is Miss Philippines. Miss Philippines, come, take your walk, or, come get your crown. And she's sitting there just like dumbfounded. And Miss USA starts like crying, and she's putting her mouth on, and she's got to tell Miss Philippines, hey, you won. Go get your crown. Go get your crown. So she was walking down very awkwardly. She doesn't know what's going on. Miss Columbia, she doesn't speak English, so she doesn't know what's going on. So the past winner from last year, who's also from Colombia, she has to come over and speak to Miss Columbia about it, and she has to take the crown from her and put it on Miss Philippines. And it's just, Steve Harvey's like, I'm sorry, I will take responsibility. Don't blame the girls. It's on me. This is the card, and I read it wrong. And it's like, dude, how do you read a card wrong? I mean, as far as I know, you're not dyslexic. So, I mean, if you were dealing with that, that's one thing. But how do you read it? Like, we've all seen the card by now. We saw all the memes. We've seen the card by now. It says second runner-up, Miss USA. First runner-up, Miss Columbia. It has in the lower right-hand corner, Miss Universe in big, bold letters. Philippines as Miss Universe. So he's blaming the card, but Snapchat has this feature where they cover big events. So Super Bowl, NBA Finals, they have Snapchat stories on all those. So they had a Snapchat story on Miss USA or Miss Universe. And I watched it just to see the aftermath of all this because I couldn't believe it. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger blunder on national television, or at least I probably have, but I just can't remember it. But this is one of the biggest of a lifetime. So I go and watch the Snapchat story, and the entire time he's blaming the card, that he read the card wrong. But on the Snapchat story, Steve Harvey is saying that the teleprompter said the wrong name. It's like, which one is it, dude? Is it the card or the teleprompter? And why are you reading a teleprompter when they're not doing a shot of you? You have the card. You guys make a big deal about the accounting firm that counts the votes, and they come out and hand you the card from the accounting firm. So why are you not reading the card? Why are you reading a teleprompter? There was no reason to read a teleprompter. You have the card right in front of you. So why don't you just read the card? Obviously, it blew up, skated like wildfire. Everybody's on him. Feels horrible. I feel bad for him. That's national television. Hosting is not an easy thing to do, much less on live television. All right. Where everybody's going to see it. You don't get a second take. There may be a 5-second delay, but you don't get a second take. I felt really bad for him because, yeah, he read the card wrong or the teleprompter, whichever one he wants to say. People need to let it go, though. He apologized. He manned up for it. I said the wrong name. I did wrong. This is on me, not on the girls. I'll take responsibility for it. He apologized to everyone, individually. So let it go. The man owned up to his mistake. You got people coming in and they're making this a race issue, which was absolutely disgusting. It was just an honest mistake, a big, gigantic honest mistake on national television, live, but a mistake nonetheless that he owned up to, and quickly. I feel bad for him, but I know he'll bounce back. He's a likable guy. Steve Harvey, man. He's been on TV for decades. I remember him way back to the sitcom Me and the Boys. How many of y'all remember that sitcom? I do. The man's been an entertainer for a long time. He's been entertaining everybody coming into your homes. He's a host. He's got his own talk show. He hosts Family Feud. He used to do stand-up comedy, even though he's retired from it, but he's still a very funny dude. Let it go. It was a mistake that he made. He owned up to it. I don't think he's going to be back to the Miss Universe anytime soon, if ever. But he owned up to his mistake like a man. And everybody that's sitting there chastising him, talking about him like a dog, bringing race into it. You're absolutely filthy, disgusting people. You really are. All of y'all probably don't have the stones, the gall, to even admit and own up to your mistakes. So maybe you need to look in the mirror, see what type of person you are before you go and judge somebody like that for a mistake that they made, they owned up to. I bet you won't like what you see. This is Toss. All right, y'all, it's time for me to get on up out of here. But I got to say this first. It has been fantastic being with you guys. We've had a fantastic 2015. We started the show in September, and it's been growing ever since, and it continues to grow. This is our last show for 2015. There will be no Toss next week. I know, I'm sorry, but even the brother gotta go. Your friendly neighborhood T-Squared has gotta go and spend time with family and friends and have fun as well. So I'm going to enjoy the holidays with them. So no Toss next week. This is the last show for 2015. I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Have a happy holidays, a Happy New Year as well. Enjoy it responsibly. Be safe amongst all of it. Enjoy your friends and family, no matter how you celebrate it. If you don't even celebrate it at all, just be thankful for what you have and enjoy your friends and family. Y'all know how y'all can get a hold of me. At the20double on Twitter. I keep it entertaining on there. About the Facebook page. That's facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. You also know that we are available on iTunes for all of my iPhone and iPad people and all the good Apple products. We're also on Stitcher for all those with Android. I did not forget you, so we're on Stitcher. Go and find us there as well. And we're on Libsyn. That is our main place to go and find us. That's Toss Show, TOSSSHOW.LIBSYN.com. That's tossshow.libsyn.com. Go and catch up on all of our other episodes. If you've never listened to us before, and this is your first show, go and catch up on the other 15 beyond this. Get caught up for 2015 because 2016 is going to be a big year. Again, there is no more Toss for 2015. No Toss next week. We'll be back in 2016 for you. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is Tristan Thomas reminding all of you that dreams don't catch themselves. Get up, get out, and get after it. Until 2016, so long from Toss.